Have you ever started something with excitement and after a while you just burn out and give up? Yeah, I've been there too, and it sucks. But here's the thing. Consistency doesn't have to feel like a grind, and burnout can be avoided if you know how to balance things properly. In this video, we're going to talk about how you can actually stay consistent without burning out, and why it's essential to actually find the right balance to keep moving forward. The idea of consistency actually sounds very simple, right? Show up every day, work hard, for example, read 50 pages a day, repeat it, okay? But the reality is that it's way more complex than that. We're constantly told, work harder, hustle harder. But what happens when we don't give ourselves room to rest or when we push ourselves past our limits? We get burned out, we lose motivation, and we start to feel like we are failing. I've been there, working every day without giving myself a break and thinking I needed to be constantly productive to make progress. But it actually made me tired, stressed, and unmotivated. Here is the truth. Consistency is not about doing more. It's about doing the right amount and knowing when to stop. The more you push yourself without boundaries, the closer you get to burnout. Think about it this way. If you're trying to get from point A to point B, you wouldn't drive full speed without taking a break. You actually need to refuel, rest, and then keep going. It's the same with your work. When you want to work, you have to remember that you have to learn to stop. The first thing we need to address is that consistency is to being 100% productive every single day. That is the biggest misconception. Trying to be perfect every day is a recipe for failure. You're setting yourself up to burn out before you even get started. When I was first starting out my project, I thought that if I didn't work every day, every single day, I was failing. And I'd push myself past my limits until I was exhausted. And then I'd take a few days off and completely unable to get back to work. This back and forth cycle is not consistency, it's burnout. Now I want to talk about the real way to stay consistent without burning out. Number one, set realistic goals. One of the biggest mistakes we make is setting goals that are too big and unrealistic. And this creates unnecessary pressure and makes it harder to stay consistent. So start small and build your goals in a way that feels like they are achievable. I used to set myself big goals. For example, today I want to actually read 50 pages of a book, or I want to do a big project today. I want to finish it. So that's unrealistic, but that's actually led to a stress. And now I focus on smaller tasks. Like I read, for example, 5 pages. I do a little bit of that project that is actually very important to me. The small steps actually keeps you motivated. And when you do it, feels like, okay, you're doing very great. And I still feel like I accomplish everything. One of the things I learned early on is that life is unpredictable, and I stopped rigidly scheduling everything and learned to stay flexible. Flexibility is the key to staying consistent without feeling like a failure when actually things don't go as planned. For example, I used to plan my days down to the minute. But if something came up or I wasn't in the right mood, it would throw everything off. Now I plan my tasks but leave room for adjustments. If I can't get something done today, I move it to tomorrow without feeling guilty. And by the way, here's the important tip. If you're someone who actually likes to set boundaries or set times for every individual task, you can use a time blocking system. But for me, I prefer flexibility. If you feel you're comfortable with time blocks, go ahead and use the system. It's a great system. A lot of people love it, but I prefer that. So number three is take regular breaks. You cannot be productive all day long without burning out. You need to schedule breaks into your routine, not just because it feels good, but because it's essential for long-term productivity. Taking breaks will give your brain the rest it needs to stay sharp and focused. For example, for a long time, I thought working nonstop was the key to success, but now I know that taking breaks, even short ones, is essential. It helps me stay refreshed and focused. Learn to embrace short breaks. It allows your brain to rest a little bit and come back with more energy. And this is, I actually call it, the power of doing nothing. The next one is start with the easiest task. I learned that starting with something easy actually makes the rest of the task feel less intimidating. If you start with a small win, it builds momentum, and that momentum carries you through the harder tasks. For example, if I have to work on a report, I start by organizing my notes or writing a rough outline. This simple task gets me moving, and once I've started, it is so much easier to continue writing the full report. Number five, track your progress, not just tasks. It's very important. Very actually easy to get caught up in the idea of checking things off your to-do list. But that doesn't always mean you're making progress. What's more important is tracking your growth and the impact you're having over time. And the important thing is you have to focus on milestones. Don't forget to remind yourself of the small milestones you've passed. When you realize you're actually moving forward, it becomes easier to keep going. Number six, listen to your body and mind. Most of us ignore the signs of burnout until it's too late. We push ourselves to the limit and thinking that we will be more productive. But in reality, we are just draining ourselves. It's important to actually listen to your body and mind. If you're feeling exhausted, take a break, and it's okay to rest. For example, there was a time when I was working on a project non-stop and I started feeling mentally drained. I realized that I wasn't being productive anymore. Now, when I feel tired or unfocused, I give myself permission to rest. I know that it will help me be more productive in the long run. Number seven is something that you see it on the internet very much. They say have work-life balance. But here's the thing that I actually wrote it here to read it for you. I do not agree with work-life balance. I believe you should work until you're at your limit. This is important. But first, you actually starting your journey to become the best version of yourself. You have to do the work-life balance. You have to learn where to stop, when to stop, when to start. This is it. But when you actually grow, you actually don't have any problem with focus for a long period, you can do this. You can work, just work. I don't actually agree with work-life balance. So what's important is knowing when to take a step back and when to keep going. Let me read it for you. Sometimes you need to take a break, a small break, take a deep breath, and then continue. When you are on the path of progress, remember not to lose yourself in the excitement. Do everything in its time. So consistency is not about being perfect every day. It's about understanding that your energy and your motivation will fluctuate, and this is actually okay. The key is to keep going, but at a pace that allows you to recharge and stay healthy. Start with small, manageable goals and give yourself breaks. And don't judge yourself if some days are slower than the others. So if you're enjoying to grow and watching this video actually helped you, make sure to subscribe and you don't miss the next video. So remember, take these steps, apply them today, and remember that consistency isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right amount. See you in the next video. Take care.